Everyone, again, this is Frank DiMora, and today is May 10th of 2011, and I invite you to come to my website that you'll be able to download my free documentary on Bible prophecy and current events called The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth, as you see behind me, the front cover. Just go to BibleProphecyMan.com, and once you're there, you'll see the front and the back cover of my book. And right below it is a link. Just click to the link and you can download the book today for free with no strings attached. What I'm going to be covering now is, I believe, is really important, because one of the signs of the last days that Jesus talked about and told us to look for were found in Luke 21:11, where Jesus tells us to watch for the great earthquakes that were going to be coming. And also in Matthew 24:7, Jesus tells us there's a host of different signs in that verse, but part of that verse, he warns about the many earthquakes that would be coming in the last days. So we know that earthquakes are going to be playing a major role in prophecy fulfillment during the time of the end. Now, in March of this year, 2011, March 11th, as a matter of fact, I put up some news about an earthquake, a massive earthquake that had hit in Japan. And usually when I'm praying and I ask the Lord to show me what to write about, usually the Lord, I get the sense that you could take the red flag down, and I usually put the red flag up when I feel that the Lord, through His Holy Spirit, is telling me to warn the people because another major earthquake is coming. I mean, a huge earthquake. But on March 11th of 2011, just last month, I was praying about it, and the Lord, I really believe that He said, keep this up, keep the red flag up, and warn them more are coming. Now, as you scroll down and you read what I wrote at my website, if you go to the BibleProphecyMan.com and read what I wrote, I'll even tell you, I'm not a prophet. I can't tell you the exact date that an earthquake is coming. I can't tell you the exact magnitude of any earthquake that's going to strike. But what I do know is that what Christ warns us in the Bible, and if Jesus tells us to look for those huge earthquakes, these great earthquakes, and there's going to be many of earthquakes, and then again He tells us that these last day signs would be as the birth pangs, as I mentioned in my previous video, as recorded in Mark 13:8, you put all these things together and you can rely on the word of the Lord. You don't have to be a prophet to understand what's coming, because the prophet Jesus Christ, the Messiah of the world, gave us this information well in advance, and all we have to do is look for it. We're not going to know the exact magnitude or the exact day, but we do know that they are coming. And so if you're going to be a real Christian abiding in the Lord, you should be looking for the things that He said to be looking for, and part of that is the major earthquakes and the many earthquakes. Now, I know why, watching the news again today, I know one of the reasons why I had this feeling from the Lord to not take the red flag down, the warning of these things coming. There's an article that came out today, and this was issued from Paris, and it says the Geological Monitoring Service said that there's a magnitude 7.1 earthquake that struck the South Pacific off the French territory of New Caledonia. It says there was no injuries or damages were immediately reported. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center said there was no threat from a widespread tsunami based on historical earthquake and tsunami data. It says the U.S. Geological Service and the European Mediterranean Seismologist Center said that it hit at 08:55 GMT on Tuesday. And so we had another one of these massive earthquakes. Now, a 7.1 earthquake is a very, very powerful earthquake. Now, also, that wasn't the only one. There was also let me scroll down here. There was another, and again, you'll find this at my website with the links so you could read this news for yourself. There was also a good-sized quake. There was it hit a 6.3 on the Richter scale which occurred in the Makarera Island near Australia. And so looking at the earthquakes, I want to just take a 7-day period now, because the Lord said, watch for the many earthquakes. Now, usually I don't report on any of the earthquakes that are below a 5, because 5 are a pretty good size earthquake. And as you get up past the 5.0 range, you're moving into these strong earthquakes and these great earthquakes. But I just checked because I've been away for a while because my computer crashed and I haven't been able to post. But I checked over the last 7 days alone, there were 49 earthquakes that measured over a 5.0. And there's some of them were 6.1, 6.3, and again, as you saw today, a 7.1, which is one of those great earthquakes. And then there were 13 earthquakes that registered and hit 5.0. So you see the number of earthquakes in just the 7-day period. And if you go back and look at the history of the earthquakes, you're going to see that there's tons of earthquakes that have been happening. And this year alone, we've already seen many of these great earthquakes. And if it keeps going the way it is, we're going to be breaking the record that we broke last year for the magnitude 7.0 earthquakes or higher. And all you have to do is know this. Christ said it was going to happen as birth pangs. Don't expect the birth pangs to get, to go away. They may calm down a little bit, just like a woman who's delivering a baby, but then when the next round of labor pains come, it's going to be a lot worse. And so will all of these signs, including the signs of the of earthquakes. Now, I know a lot of you out there may associate, and those people who have been listening to Harold Camping, who was a false prophet, and he's come out and stated that there's going to be these massive 14 magnitude earthquakes that's going to destroy the world, and that's going to happen on May 21st. And so when you see news like this today that there was a 7.1 earthquake, you might find that some of the people who followed Harold, or still following Harold Camping, would be using this to say, see, I'm telling you what's going to happen, it's going to happen. But you really have to stay in sound doctrine and understand that there are many false prophets that are coming and saying things that they shouldn't be saying, and they're going to, essentially glorifying themselves, but they're not part of God's chosen. Because obviously if somebody pronounces that God showed him this was going to happen and it doesn't happen, all you have to do is read Deuteronomy chapter 18, because anybody who prophesies in the name of the Lord and it doesn't happen, they're a false prophet, and you're commanded to move against them. But I wanted to warn you that you may be hearing some of these people saying that, look, Harold Camping is right, this is a prelude to what's going to happen. Don't believe it. And you'll understand on May 22nd when none of that happens. But I can tell you this, because I'm going to stand on the rock of the foundation, the words of Jesus Christ. You will see more of these huge earthquakes, and you're going to see a lot of them. And you're going to see, when it says many earthquakes, you're going to see a lot of the earthquakes that are even below the great earthquake magnitude. So again, these are all parts of the complete puzzle for the last days, the signs of the times. And I really ask you, please, to give your life over to Jesus, because again, these signs show us that the Lord is coming for his church soon, and you should be ready. Because if you're not, you will be cast into the tribulation, and there you will face the Antichrist, and you're not going to like that position. So God bless, and take and heed the word of the Lord. Thank you.